to the mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, poppin', locking, salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map and stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the mashup.
Welcome to the mashup. Welcome to the welcome to the mashup.
Get out of here, Sean.
To the mashup.
So what's the deal with magnets? So if you want to turn something else into a magnet, you get a piece of steel and you rub it against a magnet, and then it becomes a magnet too. And then that's how you get new magnets. But at some point, there had to have been a patient zero magnet. Like, you can't just, it didn't just come out of nothing. It wasn't like there was a second big bang that was only for magnets. So at some point, a magnet had to exist just spontaneously. And I don't get it, and I don't understand it, and it boggles my mind. Sean, what do you think?
You know what I was just thinking? I was like, you remember, like, how many mashups was it ago? 100 ago, where we used to argue about whether you should talk over the intro music. I'm like, man, I like that we have a song where I'm like, the whole purpose of it tailing out is so you can talk over it. Remember those arguments?
I remember you losing them handily.
I don't remember losing them handily. I just think you co-opted part of the audience, and they're more vocal than my side. That's what I think. That's what
yeah,
yes.
that
Yeah.
must have definitely been it.
Definitely been it. Mashup 181. How's Two's doing this morning?
Twos is doing good. He got a hell of a lot of sleep last night. He's up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to rock. How's Sean?
I also got some good sleep last night. I was in bed at 9:15. I got a phone call, and shout out to Joey. He's like, "You're in bed already?" I'm like, "I'm going to bed. I am tired. I'm wore out. I'm gonna get good sleep. I got mashup in the morning. Showed up early. Didn't have the chaos of last week, so I'm ready to roll this week. I feel.
Oh,
I'm
we got a
feeling pretty
new
good.
brand of chaos this week, brother.
Yeah, well, that's true. All right. If you're a first timer here, if you're not, make sure right now to make sure to like, share, retweet this thing out, get a rooster tattoo, all those great things. We got a full show today. We got a couple of guests coming in here shortly to talk Alberta teacher strike, some of the tariff stuff with Trump, Carney, all that good stuff. But we'll get to those as soon as they show up. About 15 minutes in, folks, somewhere like that. A happy Airborne Friday to all the military boys out there. It's Airborne Friday. Shout out to Jamie Sinclair. I got to see him this past weekend on stage. He is, while I've been running a show too, I've seen a couple of standing O's. Chuck Prodnick's got back-to-back ones at the Cornerstone Forum, and at the Prairie Rising Forum, Jamie Sinclair got a standing O for his keynote speech. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Jamie and to all the military men who tune into the show. We got a ton of time for all of you. Let's start with the Coots 6.5, shall we?
Yeah.
29-year-old Savannah Kula has been identified as the mother of 1-year-old girl who was abducted in Brampton. She was fatally shot by 38-year-old Anthony DeShepper, the child's father. And I can bring up the tweet here. There you go. And if we scroll down, he was out on bail for the second time. There you go.
Okay, hold it right there. That guy right there, I make that exact same face every time I hear Elizabeth May speak.
All right. Well, there you go. Twos is identifying with a man at a prison. Wow, the facial.
Well, I'm not
features, at least.
identifying.
I know.
Hey,
do you want the?
I'm going to show this.
Okay.
This is big. So we've been talking about this forever. It's eventually starting to trickle upwards into Ottawa. And this is Mark Miller at a parliamentary committee meeting about their incredibly asinine idea of what the justice system should be in this country. And here's what happened.
Ça a été complet.
You're nervously laughing, I'm French.
Et juste où j'annonçais le succès du test de...
Oh, I'm sorry, j'ai désolé. In the middle of the parliamentary meeting about how fucked up our bail system is, the Amber Alert that we just talked about,
goes
that
off.
guy who killed the mother and he was out on bail and kidnapped the baby, goes off, and everybody in Parliament has an Amber Alert sent to their phone about it. This is if Edgar Allan Poe had written songs for Alanis Morissette right here.
Oh, do you want to show the end of that video too? Do you want to show him laughing after?
That's just nervous laughter. That's not like, "Hi, I think this is funny." This is sort of like, when you're in like
Yeah,
deep
I
shit or
but
something like that, you kind of just go, "Hey."
wouldn't the natural? Well, here I'll put the music here.
Here it comes.
So without further ado,
Like that's just the nervous. I'm really fucked right now.
That's what you
laughter.
marked as. I would have thought
Yeah.
the natural thing would have been to do. Wow, we have a 1-year-old abducted. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it goes out province wide though, right?
Yes,
So
I
this is
know.
a Brampton issue. They're in Ottawa, so it's not like
Sure.
it's directly. Like I'm just saying.
You're defending him. Fair enough.
Excuse me?
I did not see that coming. It was nervous laughter.
Fucking excuse me.
Oh, let the chaos ensue of
Oh,
Mashup
wow.
181. Hey, let's go. Let's go here. You want to show the tweet of Pierre Polyev? You want that
Sure.
up? Here, there you go. I got it up. Will Greaves says there's no tragedy that Pierre won't try to politicize and no embarrassment from their leader that the Conservatives won't defend. Pierre had tweeted about this, right? Savannah Kula, a 29-year-old mother of 4, rest in peace, murdered by a rampant criminal out on liberal bail. How many more will have to die for liberals to reverse their reckless and deadly laws?
Yes. Isn't it weird how he's just seizing the opportunity of every time this happens to point out how bad of an idea it is?
Yeah.
Go figure. Oh, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This isn't them saying, 22 people died in Danforth. We're going to use this to try and shoehorn in gun control. This is him saying, this is the exact fucking thing that people are talking about every day.
We've been talking about it for an awfully long time, Twos. Election results.
So I guess we've just been politicizing tragedies. That's basically what the Coot 6.5 is that, if they'd have just murdered some people, they'd be out on bail, but they didn't, and now they're in jail.
Election results. We did the as you like to call it, the white collar round table, and we argued about this.
Do you know nothing about marketing?
The Guardian blue collar round table. Okay.
It's subvert expectations, which drums up interest in it and makes people, and it's kind of a funny introversion of what these people actually are.
You could move to Lloydminster, become my producer, Twos. You could come here and you could help fix all the problems that Sean creates.
I had already fixed it. I told you to call it the white collar round table. And you're like, well, I don't really know that many colors, Twos.
We had on Sean Rue, Shannon Hines, Drew McKay, Justin Stevens. All 4 elected. Yeah. Paul Hunter, former blue collar roundtable guest, elected. Tej Johannesson, who showed up on the mashup, how many weeks ago was that? Was it a month ago?
Something like
elected.
That, sure.
So I don't know if anyone's keeping track. 6 for 6.
That's it's not all the mashup effect, but
no, it's a great people stepping up for their communities.
As much as I'd like to just joke about it being something like that, they're all stand-up people who I am very sure would have won regardless of whether we even mention them or not. And congratulations to each and every one of you for doing this.
Well, you go from the dark days of the bail system to some people part of this community getting involved in their respective communities. Mm-hmm. And any little part we played, we're just happy to help. I'm happy. And I got to give a shout out to Twos. I know. I got to give a shout out to you, though, because who put that round table together?
Twos did.
And I don't like giving Twos too much credit because he tries taking credit for everything.
I cannot wait to have the conversation about your upcoming guest. I cannot wait.
Got John Rich coming on here next week. It'll air in 2 weeks, I guess.
Like a year ago,
Tooz has been telling
A
me all
year
the time,
ago.
I need to have him on. I need to have him on. I'm like, Tooz is the only one who's been telling me that. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
You didn't
Tooz
even
idea.
know who he was.
I didn't know who
I'm
John
going
Rich
into-
was.
I'm telling you all about Lone Star. And
Okay.
sure, yeah, I'm sure you heard a couple big and rich hits, but you know, the underlying stuff and the things he talks about and the stuff he represents and believes in, all of that stuff was all news to you. I talked to you for like an hour about this guy a year ago. And
If
now
you
you're
didn't
like,
know
oh,
it,
it's just a
Tooz,
coincidence.
folks, he's right. He's just right. You're right, Tooz. You're so right. I'm so happy to have you as a co-host. Crack that. Let's do some other things around the election.
What? No way. The what no way guy has his own hard iced tea.
There you go.
Takes.
A recount in Edmonton overturned the Ward Sippy Winyanawak result. I don't know if I'm close on that. Declaring that Thuma Pamar the winner after she was originally reported to have lost Better Edmonton's Daryl Friesen by 6 votes. The recount found Parmar ahead by more than 600, a stunning
600.
10% discrepancy that's raising serious questions about the accuracy of the citizens' vote count. Many are now calling for a full review and audit of Edmonton's election results.
You remember in the last election when I was saying that you should just keep doing recounts until you get at least 2 counts that have the same number,
Yes,
or
I
at
do.
least really, really close, right? Okay, well, one of them is 600 different. One of them is 10% different than the other one. And you're like, you don't have any basis for which one is correct. You just know that you have 2 numbers that are wildly different. And you're saying that because we did this one second, it's going to be the accurate one? Bullshit.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. When you have
isn't that nice? You should have John Rich come and talk about it.
well, I do agree with you. And we had this conversation. When you have 2, you count it twice. You know, and you get the 2 things, you're like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. I obviously made a mistake. Isn't that the common sense thing? Somewhere we've gotten a mistake. I better count it a 3rd time, maybe even a 4th time, to make sure the numbers act. You know, you get 603 more times. Okay, fair enough. But to do it once and go, oh, we made a mistake. Here's the election results. Actually, yeah, I agree with you. That is, yeah. Do you want to bring up Naheed Nenshi?
Well, I just want to point out real quick, throw up that tweet if you don't mind.
I don't know if I got it, if I'm being
or
honest.
I could. Here, I got it right here.
I'm pretty sure every time I see Naheed
There-
Nenshi on my screen,
yeah.
I just delete it, if I'm being
Well,
honest.
everything underneath it's grayed out because he's got me blocked, which is probably kind of a community service thing on his part, and I appreciate the effort. But here he says, whew, as in like he just walked up 2 steps because he's a fat fuck. Happy to vote in the municipal elections today. Line was a bit long and a bit slow, even for your waddling ass. Thanks to UCP wanting to make it harder to vote. Actually, technically, no, that was Elections Alberta that slowed down the lines. But it feels great. Remember, as long as you're in line by 8 p.m., you'll be allowed to vote. Now, Naheed Nenshi, leader of the Alberta NDP, recently won a by-election in Rachel Notley's old riding in Edmonton. Now, if you take a close look at this picture, where did he vote?
Elections Calgary.
Elections Calgary. This motherfucker hasn't even moved to within 2.5 hours of the riding that he's in charge of. He's still voting in Calgary, which means he still lives in Calgary, which means he's not even a parachute candidate. He hasn't even jumped out of the fucking plane yet.
Naheed Nenshi. Okay, we have our first guest in the back. I'm waiting on Chris Sims to hop in as well, but we might as well bring in Berta Proud, Dad.
Yeah.
Sir, thanks for joining us on the show.
What's going on, boys?
You're looking at it, brother.
Yeah, this
Thanks
is
for coming on.
Yeah,
Nice.
welcome to the mashup. Berta Proud, before we get into the teacher strike, just tell us quickly about yourself. Me and Tooz were talking before we started the show. We've seen your videos, and I guess just if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of like, I don't know, your background.
I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a taxpayer in this province who cares about his province. That's basically where this stems from, right?
Perfect.
I decided to share who I was on social media during COVID, during all those lockdowns. When our kids weren't going to school and they were locking everybody up in their home. I decided to download an app called TikTok. I'm sure everybody heard of that tyrannical communist app, and I went viral. And then I said, you know what, we're onto something here. So here we are, almost 4.5, 5 years later, and I'm going strong on social media and being a voice for the voiceless is what I say I am, because I've been canceled twice, lost my job for being Bird a Proud Dad, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing every single day.
Right on.
Well, do we want to? Chris Sims says she's running. What did she say? She's on her way.
Okay.
We can wait for her, or we can shoot and she can hop into. Is your thought?
Well, I mean, we gotta. I don't know how much. Do you want to just talk about the strike, or could we just throw a few other random things at you real quick
While we wait for Chris Sims?
Yeah,
It's
you
your
can
call.
do whatever you want. You can do
No,
whatever you
yes,
want.
here.
You guys can literally do whatever you want. Whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm here for.
Okay.
Okay.
right,
Well,
what's
then
next
we'll
in the rapid
wait.
fire?
We'll wait for Chris Sims. Let's start here. Popeye's franchise is shut down over unpaid wages placed in receivership. Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen franchise, whose restaurants were shut down last month after employees raised allegations of unpaid wages, has had his companies placed in a receivership with debts totaling courts roughly $10.8 million. Courts document filed in the case and corporate records research shows the former restaurant owner Irfan Memon is also a major defendant in a lawsuit filed in May against Popeyes, its parent company, Restaurants Brand and International Inc. and Toronto area franchise. Operated, what am I searching for here? This is
how
the
about the fact? Okay, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say this is the story we're following where they were talking about food quality, right? Whether or not the chicken served was of healthy quality.
The receipts they had for the chicken they bought were far less
than the chicken
receipts they had for the chicken they sold.
Correct.
And so presumably they were just buying it out of the back of a truck or something. And amongst other things, there was $10.8 million in unpaid leases and utilities and wages. And Popeyes just went in and shut it all down. And they said that you can't do business anymore. His wife still owns one store that's open, though, apparently. And he is listed as a director for that numbered corporation.
Can we just talk about the quality of service that we get when we go to these establishments nowadays? Does anybody else notice that? Does anybody else notice that the quality is complete shit whenever you go to one of these establishments nowadays? I can't be the only one.
Twos, you've never noticed that, have you?
We've never brought that up before. Tell us all about it.
Yeah. It's just absolutely crazy. And you ever see online on Facebook or any of those other places where if you can't tip, you can't afford to eat out? You know, what are your guys' points on tipping? Like would you tip at a Popeyes is what I'm asking you.
No. If I'm standing up to order, I'm not going to tip, with the exception of there's one locally owned, like, artisanal sort of bakery shop right around the corner from me that I stand up to order and I tip at because they live a block away. They're a block away from my home.
That's fair.
So you're just fair. Yeah. But with that exception, if I'm standing up to order, no matter what it is, I'm not going to tip. That's where I'm at. And especially if it's something where I've got to get into slow, nuanced detail of exactly what a double is.
I agree. I agree.
I would just add in my tipping is based on, service. You get really good service at some place, like where they go above and beyond. When I go home to where my wife's from in Minnesota, I love Caribou Coffee. They do, it's a franchise now, but like they do exceptional service. When you get exceptional service, I'm okay tipping. Mm-hmm. It's when you go in and you're like, man, that was painful, or they got it wrong. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're sitting down. It's like, if you didn't earn it, you didn't earn it.
Well, the other thing about the standing up is that you're tipping before you've received the service.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not wrong on that too.
Before you even know if it's going to be good service or bad service. It's just presumptive. I'm going to assume that you're going to give a certain level of service, and I don't like that because quite often those are the ones that come up short.
It's like tipping at Tim Hortons, right? You know your service is going to be shit. You just know.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, all the time.
Okay, we got Chris Sims in the back. Chris,
Yeah, we
welcome
do.
to the show.
Hey,
Okay.
fellas.
And
Well, I mean, one of
Hi,
our,
Chris.
our favorite guests of the show, Chris Sims, on from Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Okay, let's chat. The Alberta teachers strike. You wrote an article, and then feel free, the rest of us here, to hop in on this. But Chris, you wrote an article. The Alberta Teachers Union is demanding an extra $2 billion from taxpayers. This is in addition to $2.6 billion the government has earmarked for resolving the teachers' strike. The AT,
Now, to be clear, that's $2 billion annual, right?
No, $2 billion over 4.
Okay.
The ATA is on record wanting a provincial sales tax in Alberta. Why not look at revenue? The ATA article from 2024 reads, there is so much room to move on a taxation policy. The budget of documents show that Alberta would collect $19 billion in additional revenue if it followed BC's tax scheme. I can go on, Chris, but we have the author sitting here. So your thoughts, and then Berta Proud would love to get your thoughts as well.
Yeah, this is a huge mess. So for folks who are outside of Alberta, we've got around 700,000 students who are out of school. They have just finished their 3rd week of missing school. And while that might seem like, a treat for some kids, for others, it meant a lot to them. Like my daughter has missed out on 3 weeks of her grad class, English class. She missed out on Hamlet. She missed out on tons of stuff with a teacher she was really looking forward to working with. So you don't get chances to do this stuff. What's that?
I said, alas, poor Yorick.
So you don't get a chance to do that stuff again. So on top of this, we've got around 50,000 or so teachers who are on strike. Now, the government did a head count. They say there's around 35,000 actual active duty teachers. So that's a huge discrepancy between 51 and 35. So what's happened is this. The Alberta government says, hey, we offered you guys $2.6 billion over the next 4 years, which would have included, in some teachers' cases, a 17% wage increase, okay, over that span of time. It would have started a brand new teacher, fresh out of college, at $71,000 a year. After 7 years on the job, they already would have been clocking in at over $100,000, okay? Keep in mind also the benefits, the vacations, right? The days worked, all of that factors in, and crazy job security compared to a lot of other professions in Alberta. So that's where they stood. 2.6, here's the offer, big pay increase. Oh, and they were going to hire 3,000 new teachers and 1,500 new classroom workers. The teachers union comes back and says, how about 2 billion more? Which is like, that's jumping the shark level crazy to come back and demand that. So I was actually thinking, I'm like, okay, if they're actually thinking that the Alberta government is going to pull like $2 billion out of a magic hat while we are in deep deficit and a deeper debt, where do they expect this money to come from? Because government can do 2 things to spend money. It can raise taxes, or it can go deeper into debt. So I went and checked the Alberta Teachers Association website, the big union website. And of course, silly me, I forgot. They're huge fans of having a sales tax in Alberta. Like big fans. Like mentioning having a sales tax in Alberta as being the smart thing for us to do goes back at least 10 years on that website. And it's not like a gotcha thing either. Like they've been very public in years past about how much they love a PST. They often say things like, we need to catch up with other provinces' taxation policies. That's code
They
word.
need to catch up with us.
I agree, man. But that's code for we need a PST. Sometimes they're really explicit and they actually say the words sales tax, provincial sales tax, which is political suicide in Alberta. Every now and then they're courageous enough to actually call it a PST or a sales tax. But it's right there. It's in their documents. They're anticipating that if Alberta had a sales tax, that the government would rake in an extra $5 billion a year. And guess what that money could be used for? Putting more teachers on government payroll. So yeah, that's our article in the Edmonton Sun.
Now, did they talk about any of the deadweight losses that it would? Are they saying that there would be economic deadweight losses and the net result would be $5 billion, or just that $5 billion in tax would come in?
They just look at 5 billion at tax. They don't. Whenever I read one of these kind of alternative budgets, like people's budgets or whatever it is, and it isn't even necessarily the ATA, whenever I hear some of these pointy head smart people start saying how a sales tax is a super duper smart idea, they leave out two things. They leave out the deadweight element that you mentioned there, Toos, and they also leave out the fact that it is poor people and low income people who hit the brunt of a sales tax.
It's a regressive taxation in terms of
correct.
income. And
That's correct.
I've never heard any of them mention the Laffer curve.
I don't even know what you mean by that. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, basically just if you have zero tax, then you have zero government income to play with. And as you increase it, as you increase the tax rate, the income gets higher and higher and higher until it reaches a maximum. It's basically an inverted parabola. And then eventually, the more you tax, the less overall you get because you have people just doing less and less and less.
Oh, yes.
And then at 100% taxation, it goes all the way back down to zero again.
Yep. Yeah, I more like to think of, have you guys ever seen that terrifying experiment that scientist did with rats? When he put them all in a big pen and he fed them whatever
he gave them utopia.
And they always go insane. That's super disturbing. So yeah.
Well, a whole bunch of other things happened too, Chris, in that study. We don't need to go into all of that, but yes,
that's for another show. So the main point of the article is pointing out just the fact. Okay, this is out there in the public for all to see. It's on their website. The ATA, Alberta Teachers Association, they want a PST in Alberta. They've said so repeatedly. So I'm just deducing this must be where they expect the extra $2 billion to come from. And for folks who've never lived under a PST, I escaped British Columbia. Thank you so much for letting me flee here to Alberta. British Columbia, their government is so bloodthirsty for their PST because it takes billions and billions of dollars from people. Get this. Back, I think it was 2006, around there. Back then, the BC government caught wind that smart BC shoppers were crossing the border in the summertime and saving their big appliance purchases for when they visited Alberta. So they'd go to the Brick or Costco or wherever they were going for like big shopping, annual shopping, to save. No PST. The BC government was so obsessed with getting its PST that when it found out that some BC shoppers were coming over here to Alberta, it tried making the retailers on the Alberta side go out to the parking lot and take pictures of the BC license plates and to tattle back to Victoria. Why? So that Victoria could charge them the BC sales tax on stuff they bought in Alberta. I'm not kidding. This was all over the news back then.
Well, consumers are always going to go where money leads, right? Savings lead. In Saskatchewan and Alberta, being right on the border, there's a reason why a lot of people go buy things from Alberta.
So I think honestly, what kind of precedent does this set, right? If the Danielle Smith and the Alberta government decides to implement a PST in order to pay our teachers, what is every other public sector union going to do? What are they going to do? They're going to ask for an increase of the PST. Every time a contract negotiation comes out, they're going to ask for an increase in taxes. We are already taxed to death. The average middle-class family can barely afford their mortgage. And we're just going to allow the public sector unions to dictate tax policy in this province? I don't think so. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, great point. And thankfully, we do have the Taxpayer Protection Act, which is a law here in Alberta, which shields us from having a PST. It shields Albertans from having a sales tax. That is how firmly the government wanted to impose a sales tax on Albertans. They'd have to win a referendum on it first. So good luck with that.
Maybe good luck with that is right.
No, actually, let's do a referendum on this contract negotiation.
Yes.
Like, let's.
Best thing I heard all week.
Even just the minutia of the negotiating. Why can't we just tune in and watch? Why can't we look at the specifics of what's being asked? We're being asked to pay for it. Yep. We would like to know what exactly is being presented and countered.
Yeah. This is all
of these negotiations should happen in absolute broad daylight.
I agree.
I've been wondering, Berta Proud, you might have an answer on this, or Chris, you might. I've been getting texted by a ton of teachers, right? So then I've reached out to Jason Schilling, and tried, getting, because I'd love to have a conversation on the podcast with them. But one of the things teachers have been telling me over and over again is there's no strike pay. Now, Chris, we
That's true.
talked about this offline about they haven't had a strike in 23 years. Where did the
Yeah.
money go?
Yeah.
Where's the money for all the teachers? Shouldn't
Where
the
do you
teachers be up in arms about that?
Okay,
Yeah.
two things. I don't know. Like I actually don't know. And yes, that's true. They have not been on strike for 23 years. I interviewed, so I'm not a teacher. I'm not married to a teacher, so I don't know. But I did interview a teacher who teaches classes in Edmonton, loves teaching her class. She teaches grade 11 English in downtown Edmonton. She said that her last class of the day has 37 kids in it, 38 kids in it, half of whom are ESL, English as a second language. So that's some tough sledding while you're trying to teach Hamlet and Shakespeare and stuff to half of the kids who can't even speak English yet. So I spoke to her. That was the question she was asking Sean. She had all of her receipts, and she was claiming that she had paid thousands and thousands of dollars into the ATA. And so she was asking point blank, is the ATA going to pay my bills come November 1st? And I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe their structure is different from a normal union. I don't know.
Absolutely. And that's my question too, is where's the money, right? And the teacher that I interviewed, because I also interviewed a teacher down here in Calgary, she kind of said the same thing. But the thing is when you got Jason Schilling out there, busing people from Calgary to Edmonton on 27 buses that left here yesterday to go up to their rally. And I know that happened out of Grand Prairie as well. And I can't talk about anywhere else that happened because those are the only two places that I know. And the ATA is getting meetings at Kananaskis Lodge. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that place.
They had the spa retreat there.
Yeah, at $600 to start a night. Okay, to start a night. And the ATA, if I'm not mistaken, just built a brand new facility, a brand new building, whatever that cost. Don't they have a boardroom there? And this is what I'm saying to teachers out there. It's not that we're frustrated with you, the teachers.
No.
We're frustrated with your leadership. And that's been a big misconception on the content that I've been putting out there, is everybody thinks that I hate teachers. I do not hate teachers. The people that are calling the shots, those are the people we need to be looking at. And those are the people at the ATA, including Naheed Nenshi. And those are the people in the school boards, your school board trustees. The day after the municipal election, I spent the whole morning talking to school board trustees because my next 2 weeks is going to be talking to school board trustees, and I'm having them on the show and doing all that. And we got some really good ones elected. And that shows a shift right there in parents. Parents in this province, out of any, so like you said, the last strike was 23 years or something like that ago in this province. It wasn't the same back then. We are in a whole different climate today. Parents are more stretched. Parents have more stresses, and parents rely more on our school system to do the right thing. And they're seeing now through content that's being put out by all of us, not just me. So many parents have decided to open social media accounts because of this to show their frustrations, that there is a direct problem with the ATA and school boards in this province, and they are fiscally irresponsible. That is fact. And now we just need to dig into it.
Another thing. So we often hear that the stumbling block is that the teachers union, and I'm really glad you did that distinction, okay? Because I had some amazing teachers growing up as a kid, okay? They meant a lot to me. And my kids have had a few wonderful teachers growing up too. They meant a lot to them, for real. And so actually, I don't think most frontline normal classroom teachers would be in favor of imposing a PST, because they'd have to pay it themselves. They probably think that's a stupid idea. But this is what happens when you get kind of academic types who all kind of have their own little think tanky thing. And yeah, like the Taxpayers Federation, we do reports too. We're an advocacy group too. I do budget reports too. But I'm going to point out when I think there's a dumb idea. And there's dumb ideas coming out of the ATA's headquarters that includes things like a sales tax for Alberta. To the point of where the stumbling block is. Quite often I'll hear back online, some of the ones that don't involve a lot of four-letter words, saying the stumbling block is class size. Here's the thing. The union is pushing for a blanket across Alberta cookie cutter class size cap. Doesn't matter if you're on our side of Lloyd or in Tabor or downtown Calgary, it would be a standard class size cap. Now that winds up doing two things. It wastes a ton of money because it's inefficient, and it causes split classes all over the place. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you talk to
But
frontline
that means
teachers,
more teachers and more union dues.
ding, 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 right? So here's the thing. What Danielle Smith came back with, what the premier came back with, was this. How about we target funding, focus funding on areas of population explosion? Okay, fair enough. Let's hire more bodies there. Let's hire more teachers there. And I thought it was really interesting of her. She pointed out the complexities. That is terms that are used for kids who have a lot of learning disabilities, okay, like some severe ones in some cases. And apparently, those coded kids, and I'm using the ATA's language here, they're a lot more numerous now than we were all going to school. So, what Smith said was, how about we take a hard look at how many kids with complexities go into each class, hire way more special ed helpers, way more special ed teachers to take the burden off there. But the union is still pushing for cookie cutter class size cap. So this is getting to a point. I got a hold of some data. Now it's about 18 months old. Okay, so not brand new, but pretty good. And it shows the capacities of basically every school in Alberta. Like if they're 40 over or 30 under or 100 under. And it didn't take me long. Okay, I'm like doing the math and I've got a little Google map of finding a school in various places, Edmonton, Red Deer, and Calgary. Okay, did this on the weekend. Same school district, so Catholic, public, same city, like a 6-minute school bus ride away. So they're plus 40 over here at one elementary school. They've got room for 70 over here, 3 minutes away. What is the school board doing? Isn't that their job to move heaven and earth to make sure that all of our funds are being well utilized and kids have room in classroom? Like, it didn't take me long to find 6 examples. What are they doing?
Well, I think you just proved the point. What I've been trying to make all along here is that this is a political smear campaign on Danielle Smith. This has nothing to do with class sizes. This has everything to do with salaries. This has a lot to do with making Danielle Smith and her cabinet look bad. You know, they got a recall happening for Demetrios, the education minister in Calgary here, where they want to remove him from his job because that's the left. It's all cancel culture, right? And smear, and then remove you from your job. I just want to make one point. My daughter's in grade 11. The largest class that she has is 26 people. That's the largest class that she has. So when these teachers come out and say every school is overcrowded, because there's teachers saying, and not every teacher is saying that, but the ATA specifically comes out and says that, you know, we have an overcrowding issue, we have this. There's parents out there like me who are looking and saying, well, not me. And because I know that there's other schools like that as well, right? So yes, absolutely. Look at the demographics, look at the problems and where those problems lie, and then fix those problems. And that's what Danielle Smith is saying, and that's what we have to do. And you just did the ATA's job and the school board's job right there as a member of the public. Imagine that.
Saturday afternoon took me like a couple hours with a spreadsheet. And this is where I'm asking, and those were just like random examples I was finding. Imagine if you got like some people to work on this for like 2 weeks straight. Like, you should at least be able to alleviate the problem. Maybe it won't fix it all completely. And one of the main reasons I wanted to go check this is because previous to this, the Alberta government promised to spend like $8 billion building more than 100 new schools. Holy Hannah, that's a lot of money. And now I will criticize Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's government when she does things that are wrong, like giving money to the Edmonton Oilers. Okay?
Yeah.
Totally wrong. Sorry, Sean. This
Or
is personal.
or the Calgary Stadium.
Flames. I'm being equal opportunity, getting mad about this. Okay? So they should not be giving corporate welfare to NHL teams. That's wrong. Okay? So we do hold them to account. We don't care what color the team jersey is. But in this case, do you remember apparently the government also, and again, this is according to the government, and I have emailed the ATA asking them questions. They have never answered me. So I'm trying to be fair here. The government said, hey, we offered enhanced mediation. What that would have done is this past Monday, students and teachers would have been back in class. Teachers would have been getting paid because they were 2 weeks out with no pay by then. That's going to start getting gnarly real fast if you got mortgage coming up. They offered to put them back in school, but they stay at the table. So your union negotiator person and your government negotiator person, they're still at the table talking, but you are all back in school and getting paid and learning. And apparently, according to the teachers I have spoken to, okay, including on the air, the ATA just rejected that out of hand. They didn't even ask their rank and file teachers, hey, y'all want to go back to school and work and pay on Monday? Yes or no? They apparently just said no.
Well, isn't it funny that whenever a teacher goes on strike, it always happens in right around the start of Q4. They never go on strike in July.
It's
That
weird
is
how that
like,
happens.
I can't quite figure out why or how or what the methodology is, but it always seems to be that
Well,
I don't know, maybe there's not enough money for suntan lotion while they're out there picketing, and they can't go out there during the brightest, warmest days of the year.
but
It's
from
always
that
got to be in autumn.
no, you got to, but strategy too, right? It's a
There is
strategy.
strategy.
It's
There is.
strategy to go on strike at the start of the year. You're causing the most pain. The thing that I think frustrates more and more people is it's like the offer seems really good. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, and it's like, well, how much money is enough money? And then what are you going to do with it? It feels like, you know, when you talk to different areas, let's pick on healthcare. Is it nurses are bad? No. It's
No.
that when you listen to them, they go, all the money gets caught in the bureaucracy above them and it doesn't funnel down to the front line. And when you look at the school system and the money being given there, what do the teachers say in the quiet chats off air? They say it doesn't make it to the front line. It gets caught up in the upper bureaucracy of what that system is. So there is strategy in this. I'm not upset when they choose to strike. I think we're more and more upset day by day when they refuse to listen or they refuse to even talk with their counterparts. I think teachers would like to have a voice in this.
Also,
Yeah,
why is the oh, go ahead.
There's some chatter just to answer that question. My wife, Berta Proud Mom, actually did a little bit of research on this about the funding on when homeschooling. When you stop getting your funding for homeschooling, they actually waited to go on strike till after that. So basically, you know, just say I decided to put my kids in homeschooling right now, that funding deadline is over right now.
Oh.
So there's a strategy there. They went on strike.
It was like
they
the
went on
day
strike
after or
the day
something.
after. The day
Yeah.
after. So, and I think that's another big thing too that I've been looking into. I haven't done much content on it yet. Is they want zero funding for any type of education unless it falls under the ATA. They want zero type of funding whatsoever. And I believe it's a parent's choice. I'm going to be pushing, and I'm not doing all these numbers every single day, but I want the money to follow the child at this point. I think as parents, we get to choose where we want to put our kids in school, and we have different values and belief systems within our households, and we should be able to match up our child to a school that we see fit. And I actually do think this is going to start a change in our public education system as we see it, and this is going to snowball throughout the country because what Alberta ends up doing with education. Because I think the ATA we've lost trust in the ATA at this point.
Well, that's parents. The thing is,
So,
if you guys, sorry, just real quick, if there was a strike going on in the summer, if it happened at instead of lining everything up to put the screws to the regular moms, dads, and families and the kids, instead of lining everything up to make it as disadvantageous as possible to try and put us as far over the barrel as they possibly can, if you guys had said, you know what, it's June, we got 2 months to figure this out, we don't want to put anybody out, we want to come to you in good faith, that's a completely different discussion than what's been happening so far this fall.
apparently they have been talking since around April, right? Back and forth, but it only hit a real boiling point once we get past Labor Day and once we get past that funding cutoff. I just wanted to ask Berta Proud Dad. So one of the beauties of Alberta is that the funding does follow the child. Do you mean that you want it not to be like the 70% or whatever that was? You want it to be like 100%? Or
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
want more charter? Okay.
I want 100% of the funding that goes to my child should be for my child.
Okay.
I myself, and now I'm just talking as a father, right? I'm talking as a father who is a concerned citizen as well. My tax dollars and that portion of that. So if we're talking 100%, I should be able to choose. So my daughter's an athlete. Just say I want to send her to an athletic school and it's $30,000 per year. Okay, we know those athletic schools are expensive. I should get my chunk, my 100% to throw at that school, and I pay the difference. And that's no different for any other private school out there. It should
Yep.
be exactly that, and we shouldn't be having these arguments about it. What I'm seeing here is the ATA wants control. They want total control
time.
over parents in this province. And we've seen the overreach, and we don't even have to go into that because I know not all teachers are doing it. But just from talking with thousands of teachers, I started an email, whistleblower@bertaprouddad.com, for teachers to get a hold of me because they are afraid to speak out. And what I am seeing is it is a toxic work environment. They are afraid to speak out. And there absolutely is things pushed down onto these teachers to push in school, or else they get in trouble. Or it's so cliquey that they're just banished out of the group. They make it uncomfortable for teachers. And you know what? I'm over it. I am absolutely, this is the hill I'm going to die on. I don't know if anybody noticed that or watching my content. I'm very passionate about
Well,
it.
that's
This is the
how
hill I'm going to die on.
it's funny, Berta Proud, because that's how you get on our radar. Is I think we've been getting shared a lot of your content. Well, let's just bring them on. That's an easy thing to do. You mentioned if there's any teachers listening, me and Twos both know we got teachers listening. It's whistleblower at bertaprouddad.com. Is that what you said?
That's correct. Yeah. And we've been talking to thousands of teachers. We're monitoring that email every single day. And we're just trying to get teachers' voices out who are afraid. Now, obviously, when they send something general in, I try to get a little bit more to the story. Give me some proof of something that's happening, and then I'll post it to my socials. I'm not just copying and pasting every single message that comes in and putting it out there. You do need to be descriptive in what you're talking about and have a little bit of proof of what's going on for me to put it out there. But the stuff that we've been hearing is absolutely concerning, to the point where a teacher was just part of a meeting and they were going to read a book on basically why people who don't agree with us are fascists. That was going to be part of their book study. This is what they're doing behind closed doors in this province as teachers that are sitting on committees. And then these people are going into our classrooms. So this is just getting out of hand. And I'm glad that this strike happened because it allowed us to expose more and wake parents up, because parents matter. And I want to remind people that you as parents out there, never mind the ATA and the Jason Schillings, who he feels it's more important to talk about me online instead of negotiating with teachers. Never mind about that. You guys matter. You parents out there, this is why I'm doing it, for you and your kids and the teachers who are afraid to speak out. And then, like I said earlier, Sean, I will die on this hill. I will do this content from a cardboard box. I promise you that. I promise you that.
Chris, just one question on numbers, and maybe Berta Proud, maybe Twos can comment on this. We've had a lady, Anastasia, said, to homeschool, I get $901 for the whole year. That's for books, supplies, and field trips. When you talk about 100% funding of going with the kid, she's asking what funding do we know how much each child gets to go to school in the public system?
It's thousands of dollars. I'm guessing. I think it's per head is like $12,000 or $13,000, but I'd have to go back and check for her exactly, and I can text it to you, Sean.
So when you're talking 100% funding, you're saying let's just use if it's $10,000. Yeah. See, wherever you enroll your kid, that funding should follow them the full amount to what the public system would get.
Correct. And as of right now, say we all agree it's $10,000 per kid. Right now, 70% of the spending happens when they go to other schools. But I will also point out that isn't just because the government is like punishing you for going to a charter school. It's not. It's because there's efficiencies there. They're saving a ton of money by having them go to something like a charter school, because the charter school is always built inside an existing building. It's remarkable. So these charter school parents and teachers who start them, charter schools are not for profit. They're publicly funded. Anybody can apply to go to them. I encourage everybody to go look these things up. They're really amazing in Alberta. And you've had Caitlin Ford on so many times, Sean.
Yes.
And when you get good teachers and parents teaming up, and they're like, hey, let's start something like a classical academy or an athletic school that focuses on that stuff at a charter level, or a First Nations-based school, or an agriculture-based school, which we have all of these things in Alberta. They actually go find a building that isn't being used. And they're like, hey, government, can we clean this thing up and, pay the electric bill and start using it? It's brilliant. It saves taxpayers a ton of money.
You know how good it would be on our children's mental health If we
Oh, yeah.
put them in schools that in things that they are interested in, whether it be
Yep.
agriculture or sports or music, and we had full access to funding for that, that would
I
be
know.
absolutely amazing for our children. But yet I can already see the ATA's argument. And when there is going to be a push for this, because there will, they're going to say, no, no, we can't do that because they're all that matter. Remember?
Yep.
Like they are the only ones that matter. The teachers don't matter. It's the ATA. And what they say goes. And they are strongholding and handcuffing Alberta parents and teachers right now in this province. And to be honest, you can bust as many teachers as you want to that legislature. What I saw yesterday was a fraction of what they should have had there if they had so much support in this province. There's a lot of people in this province, and what I'm seeing out there, there's a lot of people that are just fed up and tired of this, and the teachers and the
Given the
ATA.
fact that they're not in school right now, you'd think all of them would have the spare time to have been there.
I hate to switch subjects, but in light of the show and what we do here, before we'll get some thoughts on this. I'll pull it up here. This is switching to the entire country, I guess. You got Keem Bexty
I'm gonna stop you.
retweeted this.
I got to
sure.
stop you here. Let's
Okay.
just I just want to go through this timeline here real quick before we get to that.
Okay.
Forgive me. All right. So last week we
Well,
didn't talk about
you
it.
do get to co-host the show. Take over.
All right. Last week we didn't talk about it, but Doug Ford spent $75 million on an ad in the States. Okay. And then in Alberta, Danielle Smith puts out Bill 1.
Gave us to stand up for this province, protect our freedoms, and chart our own path forward. That's why we are taking the next step to defend Alberta's constitutional rights through Bill 1, the International Agreements Act. Ottawa can sign international agreements with other countries, that's their right, but this legislation makes it clear that those agreements will only become enforceable in Alberta if implemented under provincial legislation.
Okay. And then boom, immediately afterwards, we have Naheed Nenshi speaking on it. And just look at the condescension. Watch the eye rolls every time he talks. This guy is the most disparaging person you've ever seen in front of a camera.
My first day in the legislature. But I'm told that Bill 1 of any legislative sitting is the government's flagship legislation. It's the thing that defines everything else, and it is the thing they want to be remembered for. So if I may, what in the ever-loving conspiracy theory, blatantly unconstitutional and illegal bullcrap is this? This is what they want us to talk about? They want us to talk about something that will maybe make a job for a lawyer someday, fighting it at the Supreme Court, something that not a single Albertan has asked for. Obviously, her whole shtick is she distracts. Instead of fixing public education, she makes girls, not boys, just girls over the age of 12 submit to a sex.
So anyway, now those two happened in the same day. And then a few hours later on that exact same day, Sean, drum roll, please.
Okay. And then you had, okay, here we go. Oh, get rid of that. Pull this up. You got Donald J. Trump. The Ronald Reagan Foundation has just announced that Canada has fraudulently used an advertisement, which is fake, featuring Ronald Reagan speaking negatively about tariffs. The ad was for 75,000. They only did this
75 million, but yeah. Keep going.
To interfere with the decision of the U.S. Supreme Court and other courts. Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And then here is the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. Incident learned the government of Ontario, Canada, creating an ad campaign using selective audio and video of President Ronald Reagan delivering his radio address to the nation on free and fair trade, dated April 25th, 1987. The ad misrepresents the presidential radio address, and the government of Ontario did not seek nor receive permission to use and edit the remarks. The Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation Institute is reviewing its legal options in this matter. We encourage you to watch President Reagan's unedited video on our YouTube channel.
All in the same day. Danielle Smith says we are going to distance ourselves from the federal government's international negotiations. Naheed Nenshi says, oh, this is unbelievable. Nobody wants this. Nobody cares. All she's doing is distracting. And his eyes haven't even finished rolling yet when Donald Trump says you're in the find out stage.
Yep.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing that, and shout out to Kian for saying you fucked us, because that's exactly what happened. And I'm just going to be blunt with it. This is Doug Ford, who had something to say about Danielle Smith when Danielle Smith was going down to Mar-a-Lago and advocating for Alberta and Albertans. And Doug Ford said, it's time to fight America. And he had something to say about Danielle Smith, yet Danielle Smith comes out and fights for Albertans every single day. And Doug Ford is the one screwing the entire country over with this dumb ass ad that he has no business doing. You are the Premier of Ontario. You are liberal and conservative clothing at best, and you can just stay over there and stop affecting everything else. As far as I'm concerned, Danielle Smith is the best premier in this country and the only premier, one of the only premiers standing up for Canadians, all Canadians, not just Albertans.
I'm putting it back up too, because whoever did, well, I know, but this is fantastic, right? We've been talking about Doug Ford on this show for a lot of weeks now, and yeah, this is a great meme. Great meme.
I love that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Sean, I sent you Brad Wall's post about this. I texted it to your phone if you want to take a look at it. But
I got it right here.
Okay.
His asinine threat to shut off power to the U.S., the Crown Royal poor, and now this. Premier Ford should understand that while these stunts might be good politics with the elbows up crowd in Ontario, they are worse than reckless in terms of our economy.
So a few things here. One, when I first saw the ad like 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, I thought that was a crazy amount of money to spend, more than $70 million. But B, I just assumed that they had gotten permission to use the late President Ronald Reagan's voice and face and the clip from I assume they got it from the YouTube. I'm not sure. But I just assumed that, because I've been in the game for a long time, and the Reagan Foundation, okay, which includes things like the Reagan Library and all that stuff. I'm a subscriber on YouTube, okay, because I'm a child of the 80s. I'm a Gen Xer, okay, so I watch his speeches. They're very careful and very protective of his legacy. So not just anyone can just grab stuff and use it. And so I had just assumed, wrongly, that they'd gotten permission to do this. Now, what's happened now is that the Reagan Foundation came out and said, we didn't give you permission. And also, apparently the end of it is cut off, which I also didn't know. So that's a huge no-no. And so that gave them the kind of the room or the capital to be upset. And then there's a huge opening for who? U.S. President Trump. So now he gets to be the defender of the late President Reagan's legacy against what? A foreign government's usage of his likeness and
misquoting him.
This is getting worse the longer I say it. In fact, it's awful. So
yeah.
I really hope that there's some crack team of people in Canada, maybe some of the Western leaders, that can put this bushfire out, because Trump saying no more negotiations, like all of the noise and all that stuff, it's normal people that get hurt. It's normal working people and businesses on both sides of the border. The fact that these people haven't sorted out a trade deal with our biggest trading partner is fiscally criminal. Because keep in mind, we pay people within the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade hundreds of thousands of dollars a year each to manage this stuff. And look at what they've done with it. It's a disaster.
Well, and the most frustrating part, I was just real quick, the most frustrating part about this is that you could take any regular working dude. You take a plumber, electrician, a rig worker, anybody who's like a rough-in carpenter, and you send them down to Ottawa to sit down with Donald Trump, and they would get a much better result than this and speak a lot more common sense. And the fact that we pay these people astounding amounts of money to get worse results than you could just grab, like, not even just some specific person. Nope. I'm going to grab the first person in a green hat and I'm going to send them down to DC, and they will do better than these schmucks.
I forget which U.S. president it was, or who was it in the States that said they could pick them out of a phone book and they do better job than most of the politicians in the States. But it's true. It's true. And for folks who think that, oh, this is just, US President Donald Trump doesn't want to deal with any country ever, ever, ever. Nope. He has signed trade deals with other countries much further away than Canada. So we know that
Technically, they're almost all further away than Canada, though.
Yeah, well, of course, because we're sitting right on top, right? So, like, this is nuts. How is it that he has signed deals with other countries that don't have the same trade relationship? And I'm using that term lightly. The history, the shared culture, the allyship in different world wars. Like, how have they not sorted this out, man?
What if the shoe was on the other foot? Right? What if this was Danielle Smith that caused something like this? This would be all over mainstream media. Right? I'm an advocate of Alberta, always have been. I'm always going to bring up Danielle Smith, and I'm always going to fight for Albertans. And what I have to say there is Doug Ford is going to he's going to fly under the radar. This is going to be pushed under the carpet, because who does he stay up late with at his cottage with, sipping cognac?
Freeland.
Her and Mark Carney, right? He stays up late with Mark Carney. They're buddies, and that's the thing is if the shoe was on the other foot and this was Danielle Smith that caused something like this, you could turn on every news station today in this country and they would be slandering, maiming, shaming her, and defaming her. And here we are today watching Doug Ford, who's going to completely get away with this. And he's already come out and justified it. He's already come out and said he was right. And nothing's going to be done about it. That's the worst part.
These are the kind of idiotic, self-immolating stunts that I expect from the NDP.
I don't know if he will skate on this, because we have to keep in mind his fiscal record, right? Like, they haven't balanced their budget. Like, they're in deep trouble over there too. Pound for pound, he does wind up spending more than the Liberals' Kathleen Wynne. Like, it's just, and he doesn't actually deliver for Ontarians, rather. I think the last time I checked, his own provincial debt, so the entire Ontario provincial debt, last I checked, it was costing Ontario taxpayers $300 million a week.
It's the largest sub-sovereign debt in the world.
Correct. So let's visualize that, okay? So let's just, for argument's sake, use the super smancy downtown Toronto houses and some of the ones, that are more family homes around London. For argument's sake, let's say the balance is $1 million. What the Ontario taxpayer is paying for the Ontario provincial debt is like burning down 300 houses every Saturday night.
Don't give him ideas.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Don't. Sorry.
Well, here's some other things.
Well, you know what? And Chris, I hope he doesn't get away with it. I do. I really do. Right. But from what I've seen come out of the East, and I know there's some staunch conservatives out there who believe in conservatism, it's time for them to start getting vocal on this, because Doug Ford, he's a disaster. He's a complete failure as a premier. And what I keep telling people when they ask, well, why does he keep getting elected, is because his predecessor, it's the elbow crowd. Exactly. And his predecessor was so bad, so terrible, that it makes Doug Ford look electable. That's the problem. That's the issue out there.
So some other things going on in I don't know, Twos has it as elbow draggers headlines. You got 575 jobs lost in Canada at a TD call center in Dieppe, New Brunswick. ConocoPhillips to lay off Canada employees in November, company memo shows. This one says U.S. oil producer ConocoPhillips will lay off its Canadian operations in the first week of November. Employees in Calgary will be notified November 5th virtually.
Now, just to be clear, the CEO of Cenovus was one of the signatories on that group CEO open letter to Mark Carney. As I might also point out, was the Imperial Oil CEO, and they just laid off a whole bunch of people. So they sent him a letter a month and a bit ago, and said things need to change. And he said, "Oh, well, we'll put our elbows even higher." And they're like, "That's not what we're talking about." And then the rubber is now meeting the road. Two of the companies whose CEOs were on that letterhead are now laying off thousands of people.
And you got energy CEOs send another letter, open letter to Carney, urging
that's
Canada
the
now.
Letter. That's the letter.
And then you got General Motors ending Bright Drop production in Ingersoll, Ontario. I forget, 1,200 unionized workers had been temporarily laid off. The plant was supposed to restart operations in November. and that has been put on indefinite hold.
Well, the
General
problem with EVs is that they can't even run on fumes if they wanted to. Like we were seeing from the start how bad this is, and now the chickens are coming home to roost, and they're worried about 1,200 jobs here. What about the deadweight losses across the whole economy by just what Doug Ford did?
Brutal.
Show. Do you want to show Doug Ford? We're going to sue them. The General Motors press conference or question period. Oh, here. Sorry, Tooz, I got you muted on there.
If they breach a contract, we're going to sue them. Simple as that. If they breach a contract, we're going to sue them. Simple as that.
Now, what do you think that's going to do to the investment community in this country? All right. Well, you know what? Because you look at what your potential returns would be. Okay, well, I could open up a widget factory in Montenegro or Germany or Canada. Well, you know what? I might get a different return here versus here versus here. But also, if I open it up in Canada and I ever want to leave, Doug Ford is going to pour out a bottle of whatever the hell widget it is and then threaten to sue us because it's such a stifling business climate. Like, why would I willingly enter into a deal like that?
And may I add one more headline into this conversation? Carney vows to double non-U.S. exports, says Canada must play to win. Prime Minister Mark Carney vowed Wednesday to double non-U.S. exports over the next decade while boosting domestic investment and infrastructure in the upcoming budget, telling Canadians sacrifices will be needed. Speaking in primetime address to students at the University of Ottawa, Carney said the expansion of international trade beyond the U.S. will generate $300 billion more in trade, which will bolster the economy in the face of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs. Quoted, the decades-long process of an ever-closing economic relationship with the United States is over. As a consequence, many of our former strengths as a country based on close ties to America have become our vulnerabilities. To be clear, we won't transform our economy easily or in a few months, he said later. It will take some sacrifices and it will take some time. Even with such efficiencies and better management, we will have to do less of some of the things we want to do so we can do more of what we must do to build a bigger, better Canada, he said.
Okay. The over-reliance. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I'm going to pop a gasket here in a second.
Do it. Go full Chris.
I'm just going to like dispel some like quackadoodle things that Prime Minister was just talking about here. Okay. This is not about expanding our trade with South Korea sometimes. Okay. By torching the trade relationship with the United States over and over, we're talking about like our whole economy here. Okay. So in 2023, the Canada-US two-way trade in goods was approximately $968 billion. Okay? Daily trade between the two countries, $3.6 billion. Like, this is like, you can't even compare this to other countries' trade relationships. This is a scale difference. They absolutely must knock this off and work out our relationship with our biggest trading partner. We don't care how much he doesn't like the person's personality that's sitting in DC. Taxpayers don't care about that. Business owners don't care about that. Suck it up and go figure this out. $3.6 billion a day. So I'm just going to warn people here real quick, okay? Mark Carney wrote a book before he became Prime Minister. It's called Values. I strongly recommend that everybody in Canada read this thing because he wrote it while he was the UN Special Envoy to blah, 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 okay? And it is chock full of things like global carbon taxes, marine shipping carbon taxes, carbon tax tariffs, okay? Carbon tax tariffs are this, and he mentioned this during the leadership campaign too. Mark Carney loves carbon taxes so much that when he looks around the world and he finds a country that doesn't have one, it upsets him. It upsets him so much that he's going to slap a carbon tariff on their stuff that comes into Canada, making our stuff we have to buy cost more. He has repeatedly said this, okay? This is not about, this reminds me of, there's bad times where you might have slow work or you miss a paycheck for some reason, God forbid, and you start thinking about how to make money and you're like, oh, I could hold a bake sale. That's not going to cover it. Bake sale trade deals are not going to cover it. They need to go fix the one that we already had.
Well,
Sorry.
that's absolutely right. But the other thing is that international trade, well, any sort of commerce, the logistics are an implicit tariff. So the further you have to move something, because you're taking it to where people live, and people live all over the place. So if you're taking it next door, that costs nothing. But if you've got to take it a long distance, you've got to be able to then, when you get there, offer it at a comparable price to the thing that they can get next door. And so it obviously makes sense that the US is our biggest trading partner because they are literally next door. And so as we start looking for things further afield, they're going to be there's going to be a correlation between, or inversely correlated between, the distance that it is away and how profitable it is for us. And so we're literally throwing away a good thing in hopes of getting something worse.
Yeah. And keep in mind, if the country figures if it's worth their while to send us the stuff, maybe they've got better trade relationships with other places. We don't know. This has been pointed out a billion times by people much smarter than me. Okay. I think we lost Berta Proud Dad. Sorry.
Yeah, we lost Bird Proud.
He was
He had
having
everything glitches, so he
Yeah.
might
Okay,
hop
that's
back
fine.
on. But if he
So it wasn't
doesn't,
me.
If he
Okay.
doesn't, thanks
no.
for coming on. And
yeah,
you were
thanks
off.
for being on, Berta. Yeah, it was great to finally have him on the show. Carry on, Chris.
This is the thing. So it has been pointed out. So Ian Lee, he's brilliant. Okay. He teaches at the Sprott School of Business right in downtown Ottawa. Okay. He's a professor. And I've talked to him off and on now in talk radio for like 20 something years. Okay. He has pointed out repeatedly that it's the natural resources. We must stop strangling our natural resources. We have a lot of everything. Okay. That the world wants to purchase, including the United States of America. Wasn't it interesting when they came this close, it looked like, to suddenly start talking about Keystone again? Like, apparently that could go forward without too much effort and pushing. Well, before Ford did
Before
his thing.
this,
Yeah.
So we don't know, man. Like, so we're busy. This is what's frustrating. We're busy torching our relation. Not we. Bureaucrats and our politically elected leaders in the East are busy torching our relationship with our most lucrative and essential trading partner. Don't care what you think about the person's personality. Don't care. Okay. They're busy torching that. At the same time, Ottawa still hasn't taken its foot off the neck of our natural resources industry. And the Taxpayers Federation has done a ton of work on that. Okay. Like, we're losing out on billions and billions of dollars every year by not having a proper east-west pipeline network, or by having the cap on production of Alberta's oil and gas, by having a tanker ban off the West Coast. It's something's got to give here, folks.
am I glitching too? Sorry, Chris.
I glitched out for a second. Everything just went to circles. And
Wow,
it
we're
came back.
talking too much truth on here, I guess.
Sorry.
Chris.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Yes.
That answers your
Oh, sorry. Mark Carney's awesome. Oh, and our internet started working great again.
Chris, we appreciate you hopping on and doing this. You're always a valued guest
Always.
of the show. And with all the things going on, a shout out again to Berta Proud Dad for hopping on too. I think there's a lot of people that are really enjoying his content, and he's been speaking very vocally about some things going on here in Alberta. Chris, thanks again for hopping on the show. And you know, me and Twos, we're going to get into some things that probably the Canadian Taxpayers Federation.
I should probably leave. I'll go read this again. Okay. Bye,
Chris, thanks for hopping on. Okay, there you go. Chris Sims and Berta Proud Dad hopping on today to discuss some things going on in Alberta and further out. Now, I'm going to get back to rapid fire news. Okay, we have here in 1BC, you have Leader Dallas Brody hosts a press conference at the BC legislature concerning our bill to ban land acknowledgements from public institutions.
Yes, and that got voted down by everybody except for two of the conservative local MPPs or MLAs.
And then
So
I should probably...
It was a great idea that they didn't have any sort of chance of following up with because it was a great idea.
And then you have Conservative Party of BC Board Management Committee, including the president, have called on John Rousted to resign immediately, saying the party is in chaos. They lost their fifth MLA, Amelia Boltby, this week.
Yeah, so there have been a huge number of people who have either stepped down or been kicked out by John Rustad. He actually said on this latest one that she has mental health issues, and that was part of it.
Yeah, there he is addressing it. So, some things happening in BC, and well, we'll keep paying attention to it to see what's going on. Do you want to show the video of Northern Perspective?
Yes, I absolutely do, and not for the reasons anybody else thinks. Here we go.
How would you react if...
Oh, sorry, just real quick. This is CBC's showing of... So the original is in the top that Northern Perspective did, and CBC's showing of it on their show is the bottom.
You were in government and you found that one of your team was involved in one of these types of scandals.
Will they be fired? I mean, obviously you have to find out if it was an innocent screw-up, a one-time minor screw-up that was due to a mistake, or whether it was a real
in the back too, by the way,
genuine corruption, self-serving corruption. But like many of the scandals of the Trudeau era should have been involved jail time. I mean, Trudeau broke the criminal code when he...
Also notice the color saturation difference. They did what CNN did with Joe Rogan.
Took a free vacation from someone with whom he had government business. It's just like, it's right there in the criminal code. If the RCMP had been doing its job and not covering up for him, then he would have been criminally charged. And again, he probably violated the criminal code in the SNC-Lavalin scandal. These would normally have led to criminal charges, but of course the RCMP covered it all up, and the leadership of the RCMP is frankly just despicable when it comes to enforcing laws against the Liberal government. But yeah, I would fire them, and in cases like that, I would report them to the police.
Hey, here's what I really want to point out. Aside from the color saturation, which I just noticed as it was made real big there, is that not only did they selectively edit it, but then also in their selective edits, they took out anything to do with the Northern Perspective. See, CBC losing this battle.
This has happened when I had Premier Smith on. Not obviously not the same thing, but it's shown up on Global News and different things like that. And I've always found it strange.
You weren't in it, only Danielle Smith.
Yeah.
Northern Perspective isn't in it, only Pierre Poilievre. And they're fine showing other clips from legacy media in different ways. But when it's the new media that's steadily replacing them, not only do they selectively edit to spin what's being said, but they also make damn sure that they don't even give anybody a whiff of other options.
Last week, we were talking about fireworks in Edmonton, correct? That was last week, or was that 2 weeks ago? Last week, right?
Last week.
Okay. Criminal charges have been laid after fireworks sparks ignited a fire to a garage in Millwoods Monday evening. The fireworks were quite loud. My daughter came out of her room saying there's an orange glow in the backyard. A homeowner said, no permit, no fireworks, light up your home, not your neighbor's roof. EPS said 3 men have been charged with arson for recklessly causing damage by a fire or explosion. And Edmonton police said in an update Tuesday afternoon, 2 homes were significantly damaged and no one was injured.
Yeah, so I remember last week being like, what makes a firework expert? Like, how do you decide that? What's the deal? And regardless of whatever the mechanism is, which is probably just a bunch of idiot bureaucrats, these people hadn't gone through the steps. They just lit a bunch of fireworks in the middle of a residential area, assumed everything would be fine. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is what the fuck goes wrong. Idiots. And there was another similar one. It's not in here, but apparently there was another similar one in Calgary here. This is for the celebration of Diwali.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a tweet from Nan Douglas. Are you serious? Danielle Smith is actually going ahead with her provincial police force, even though Albertans have said no. This is unprecedented and dangerous, threatening all Albertans.
So, in happy news, Alberta's getting its own police force. In idiot news, you've got people like this saying that it's threatening all Albertans. They talk about how Alberta doesn't need its own police force and that we need to have the RCMP. I can almost guarantee you this woman doesn't live in a rural community. She probably lives in Edmonton or Calgary, who have their own police forces. I've never seen any of these people speaking out against the Quebec police force, the Ontario police force, the city of Saskatoon's own police force. It's always about, well, we need to keep the RCMP, and motherfucker, you don't even have the RCMP. You muted yourself.
There was a comment underneath at Shane Wenzel out of Calgary. He said, "Is this dangerous or unprecedented? Question mark. 4 other provinces in Canada have their own police forces." It's like, actually, this is happening in other provinces. What are we talking about here?
Why is it an issue? And like I said, like even within Alberta, there are multiple different police forces that are not the RCMP. This is just a bunch of adult diaper clutching.
Auditor General Karen Hogan quoted, "We found the CRA agents' responses to individual tax questions were accurate only 17% of the time, and business tax or benefit questions were accurate just only half the time."
Yes. So I don't know what there is to say to that. She is an auditor who works for the government to make sure that things are being spent well and that people are competent and everything like that. And if you call up Revenue Canada and ask a question about taxes, you have better than a 4 in 5 chance of getting wrong advice. Here's another quick one that went in at the last minute here.
Oop, I got you muted again. Give me a second.
Okay.
It's regarding the nicotine therapy products, replacement therapy products once again. I know in 2018 your government issued a statement on how by 2035 you want to reduce smoking to like lower than 5%. So would you ever reconsider the regulations around these products? No.
No. Because it's not about the health regulations. It's not about smoking reduction. What it is that Imperial Tobacco happens to have the only tobacco pouches that are legally allowed to be sold in this country, and the only pharmacies of which it just so happens that Loblaws owns like half of them after they bought Shoppers Drug Mart, and Galen Weston continues to be the luckiest man who has ever lived in this country. What a happy coincidence. No, we're not going to overtly give you $12 million for fridges, but we'll just happen to hand you a nicotine pouch cartel.
Starbucks CEO was tossed out like a poorly made latte. In a swift and unexpected move, Starbucks ousted its chief executive officer, Laxman Narasimha. The recent earnings report shed light on the struggles of one of America's favorite brands. The third quarter revenue of Starbucks dropped 4% in comparable stores sales, following the previous quarter's drop of 3%.
Yes. So, interesting thing in this is that Starbucks, aside from the headline, which is like straight out of the mashup, the former CEO of, coffee makes you do what? Drink a coffee, 20 minutes later, you got to poop. Okay. Former CEO, Laxman. New CEO, former head of Chipotle.
This is what I'm here for today. A couple of laughs. Two's right on point.
No, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. Not wrong. Two's is right. I feel like I've said that a couple times today, and you're getting me for another one. Two's is right of the week. CBC Gem. CBC president, 5 million people who've created an account. This goes off of me and Two's talking over the last, month?
Several weeks.
Two's right of the week. Yep. About subscribers and specifically paid subscribers of CBC Gem. CBC president said 5 million people who've created an account, but we are keeping the numbers who pay confidential. And we don't know how much money we've put into the Gem.
So here's the thing. Literally last episode, I said that I was fully expecting them to tout the amount of people who have ever made a Gem account. And present that as being big numbers. And then literally less than a week later, that was 1 week ago, I said this was going to happen. Several days later.
5-year mandate that you released last week. Give us some numbers.
Well, I can give you a number.
Yeah.
Which is 5 million 5,300,000, and that's the number of people who've created an account.
That's a very specific number. It's not 5,300,000. It's 5,300,000. And so they did the exact thing that Twos said they were going to do.
Correct.
So well done, Twos. You hit the nail on the head.
Slow clap for Twos, everyone. Slow clap.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, kind
Yeah.
All right. And here,
here,
mashup
wait a
effect. The mashup effect. CBC launches court fight to keep Gem subscriber numbers confidential. Now, we heard about this from Blacklocks like a month ago, so it's not like it was us leading the charge on this. But a month after we started talking about this, CTV is picking up the story and running with it. All the hard-hitting news you could ever want a month after you need it. You're such an asshole.
Twos is right, folks. Let's give him some award music, shall we? Oh, my goodness. Show me some videos of drivers. We've been paying attention to this for way too long. I'm sure there's some fun things that have happened in the world of drive. This is a terrifying video, I might add.
This is now, for once, it's not Canada, but that's the only good news, because this video, you can't see it actually happening, but over the course of this video, 3 people died.
Exclusive dash cam video, which is now the subject of several law enforcement investigations. It shows the moment a red semi-truck plowed into a number of vehicles on the westbound 10 freeway in Ontario just after one.
It was in Ontario. Never mind. The driver.
Whoa. Go back and play that last part, because I didn't catch that either. I want to hear that again.
Vehicles on the westbound 10 freeway in Ontario just after 1 p.m. yesterday. The CHP told the LA Times the driver of this big rig.
Oh, there's an Ontario out in California or something too, though. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I think yes, I think that's it. I think that's in the States.
So yeah, the driver was arrested for being high on drugs when that happened, believe it or not. We got a few other ones though. This is so I muted it here, but here's him driving along. Now, for those of you who don't know, because maybe you don't live in the prairies, but he's not salting the roads.
I think that one's in Yorkton, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, I don't want to tell people, like, come to this country, integrate yourself, understand that you cannot grow a crop on top of asphalt. Just integrate yourself a little bit, okay? This is pretty basic. We put it in the fields, and that's where it grows up. You don't lay it down on the blacktop, okay? The birds will pick it all up. Nothing will come. Your harvest is going to suck. Look, we don't ask for a lot. But when you come to this country, look, when British people started coming to this country, they integrated. They started brushing their teeth, okay? They learned how we do things as opposed to insisting on doing them the way they did them when they used to live back in the motherland, okay? And it's the same thing here.
A 32-year-old Brampton man has been charged with careless driving after police say his dump truck traveling with its box raised slammed into the Langstaff Road overpass on Highway 400 southbound early last Friday, forcing a closure of collectors lanes as inspectors assess potential structural damage. So there you can see the picture of that. Then you had here in Edmonton, another bridge damage incident occurred on Highway 16 and Range Road 40B, caused by an excavator. You can see where it hit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, one of the comments underneath that says people are getting sick of this. And to be fair, like, this isn't a new thing. I remember probably about 20 years ago around Senlac, a flush by forgot to lower the derrick down, and when it left, it took out the power lines. So I mean, stuff like this has been happening for decades. It's the frequency that's been increasing. And look, I get the fact that, in Ontario, they're all upset about all the plant closures, and they've been doing everything they can for years to encourage as much of the automaking sector as possible. Look, we're going to do all kinds of subsidies. We're going to have governments buy these vehicles that are made with the subsidies. And we are going to replace the entire trucking industry with beaded curtains so that people need to buy new vehicles just because they keep getting totaled, right? This is all part of the protectionism of Ontario plants. But I think enough is enough, and the Ontario plants are dying whether we do anything about it or not.
The Blue Jays are in the World Series. I don't know if you knew that, but that starts tonight. And the NDP, Blue Jays fans are being priced out of new World Series with tickets resellings for thousands. NDP calls on Premier Ford to end the ticket resale price gouging. Don't know what Doug Ford will do. I'm sure he'll have an answer for us.
Well, he was upset. He was upset about it. I love that. That's probably just about the funniest meme I've ever seen in my life. But here's the thing is that if you bring up that NDP thing, it says that they don't want anybody to sell any vehicle or any tickets for anything more than the list price. Do you know what goes on top of the list price? You've got the online fee, the service fee, the taxes, the probably a facility fee of some kind. So the NDP want to make it illegal to charge even what you paid for something. And here's the thing is it's not price gouging. People are like, oh, well, you know what? People want to see a Blue Jays game. You can go anytime you want. I went there in late fall one year where they were making the playoffs, and I could have had an entire section to myself if I felt like it. There are plenty of tickets available. It's just that these happen to be a bigger deal, and that makes it more valuable.
Here is kids. It says, okay, kids, I expect you to make sacrifices. Now I'm off to Toronto in my private jet to watch the Blue Jays practice. Don't forget the sacrifices. And then here he is talking with the Blue Jays management. And then people have been putting in different Mr. Burns.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
here's the thing. Literally the same day he talks about how we need to make sacrifices, he gets on the company jet and flies to Toronto to shake hands in the bullpen. We all have to make sacrifices.
Somewhere there is coming a Bubbles and Mr. Burns meme. I could just feel it. I could just feel it in my bones. It's gonna be great.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Ricky. That would be excellent.
There's going to be somebody with a great meme on that. Tooz, do you want to show the video of the guy counting out the cops?
You're damn right I do.
You went muted on me.
The audio's all over the place. And watch the guy in the background. 1, 2, 3. So while the cops are, keeping some drunken miscreant down, some guy goes in and taps him out like it's WWF.
Yes. Okay. Heist. Tooz called me.
Nope. We've got this one here first. So I just saw this tweet and I thought it was it would be good to share. This person says, so I had the misfortune of watching CTV News while I was getting my teeth cleaned this morning. Sounds like the dentist wasn't even the worst part. And I couldn't help but notice all the ads were for adult diapers, life insurance, and walk-in bathtubs, which I think says everything about their target audience. Okay? And I think that this is probably a perfect time for us on the Mashup to introduce our new sponsor. Now, if you're like me, you're all too familiar with GCBS. And our listeners know I've tried everything over the years to try and address my oversized penis. Despite this, it's been a lifetime of difficulty, lower back problems, knocking things off coffee tables. When I walk in the sand, I leave tracks that look like I was pushing a wheelbarrow. Sure, it wasn't all bad. Over the years, it has opened up a lot of doors for me. One time, I was waiting for a walk light and clotheslined a cyclist. But the bad far outweighed the good. The heightened calorie requirements needed to sustain it alone are nearly enough to bankrupt a guy in this economy. I've tried hardened steel underpants, but they kept splitting open. An industrial pencil sharpener kept knocking down the power grid. I used to go in for regular trims, but it's like eyebrows, it just grows back bigger. No amount of looking at pictures of liberal women while immersed in cold water could help. And then a friend recommended Dongon, an all-natural health supplement guaranteed to reduce penis size by up to 73%. I was skeptical at first, but 3 doctors in nearly 7 countries can't be wrong. And boy, were they ever right. Within days, I saw an immediate change. Gone were the times when I had to hit it with the fly swatter every time I thought about the Spice Girls. I could lie down on my stomach and watch Dukes of Hazzard without turning into a human catapult. I just take 1 pill once a day. I like to take mine in the morning and wash it down with a protein shake, but you can do it any time of the day. Dongon is made from 100% all-natural plutonium. That's how you know it's good. And it's even organic. And unlike its competitors, it's not a suppository. And right now, they're having a big sale on their website. Go to dongon.com right now and use code Sean to get 22.2% off your first order. That's right. All the quality you've come to expect from a great company like Dongon at a fraction of the price. So go now to dongon.com and take advantage of this special offer exclusive to Mashup listeners. Some restrictions may apply. Offer not valid or even necessary in fucking Quebec. Side effects may occur.
Did I mention Murray? I met Murray this past weekend at the Prairie Rising Forum.
Nice.
Yes. So shout out to Murray for tuning in today. Dongon. All right. Dongon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing is CTV knows that their audience needs adult diapers and walk-in bathtubs. I think I know our audience pretty good. And if they need anything, it's a penis reduction. So, yes, you can go to dongon.com and use code Sean or text 587-217-8500 with a before and after picture. That's 587-217-8500.
You know,
operators are standing by.
If you you're sitting here and you're fuming as you watch the show, then you get to moments like this where you can't help but yes. Yeah. There you go. All right. Two's told me
I couldn't look at you. I was like, I can't even look at Sean because I'm probably gonna lose it.
There's been a heist this week, and Two's told me I'm not allowed to look into it. I'm not allowed to know anything about it. So Two's, we all know this by now. We're big heist fans. Walk me through the latest heist.
Okay. Did you manage to hear anything about it?
No, if I saw anything about it, I didn't even look at it. I just scrolled by. I didn't listen to anything, so I have no idea what you're about to tell me.
Okay. The Louvre has been robbed. It's been heisted. Estimates are 88 million euros. The crown jewels of France from the Napoleonic era have been stolen. They used a lorry lift to get to the second floor, where they used a hand grinder to bust open the window, get in, knock the glass out of the cases, and then use the lorry again to get down and then escape on scooters. And they dropped one of the crowns along the way. The jewels were not insured. And so here's a breakdown of it. 9:30 truck arrives, 9:34. They break into the galley through the second floor window. 9:38, they escape on 2 high-powered scooters. Now, there was another smaller heist unrelated seemingly that happened afterwards. This guy shows up immediately after the heist. Not saying he's a detective, but if you looked like a detective investigating a Louvre heist, I can't imagine you would look anything at all different. Now, interesting developments, Sean. So the Louvre, a few years ago, hired the first female head of the Louvre, and then last year got a female head of security. And there's allegations of DEI hiring, especially because the head of the Louvre had said that she wanted to get more women involved, regardless of qualifications. Now they're trying to distance themselves from this monumental fuck up of the loss of $88 million in uninsured, or 88 million euros of uninsured, priceless artifacts. And so the head of the Louvre had said that she had been trying to whistleblow about the lack of CCTV footage on the exterior of the building, because actually where they got into the Louvre, there was only one camera there that was facing the wrong way. And so nobody saw them coming. They didn't go in and like spray paint it. They didn't hack in and bypass the firewalls in an elevator shaft while Tom Cruise was like sneaking in. No, there's one camera on that wall and it's facing the wrong fucking direction. And she said that as head of the place, she was trying to whistleblow about the shortcomings in the CCTV. Who the fuck were you going to whistleblow to? There's nobody above you in this entire organization. All right. And then you've got the Daily Beast saying MAGA scrambles to blame Louvre heist on DEI. They literally said that they wanted to get a woman in there as head of security. Okay. And then French culture minister Rashida Dati offered this curious take. When the Louvre Museum was designed, it wasn't prepared for these new forms of criminality. Now, let me just reiterate. They used a basket lift on a lorry, broke through a window, and then escaped on scooters after smashing the glass. Here's the video of them getting into the Louvre. I don't know why they got to beep anything out. Look at this. Look at this. This is them getting out. Sorry, this is them getting out. They're coming down. They are wearing ski masks and reflective vests at the same time. Do they want to be seen or not? Okay. And they're literally escaping down. Just look at this clip. This is how fast they escaped. They literally robbed the Louvre with one of these fucking things. That's what they used to conduct an 88 million euro heist. Okay. And then it actually ended up being a great marketing thing for the company who did that specific lift. So for those of you who don't speak German, this is a new ad that company whose lift was used in the heist put out with a picture of their lift out in front of that busted window at the Louvre, and wenn's mal weiter schnell gehen muss, which means when things need to be done quickly. And we actually have footage of it happening inside of them breaking the glass and getting it. Oh, no, wait. That's a guy with a pickaxe in a mall in Toronto robbing a jewelry store that same week. Sean, these new DEI hires literally took the old system out where they had bulletproof glass, and if it was tampered with at all, it would set off a sensor that would open a trap door underneath that would drop them into a safe, which would then close. They took that out 2 years ago for aesthetic purposes.
They actually did that?
They actually did that.
I don't know if you know this. I've been to the Louvre. Now that's 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I went and saw the Mona Lisa, right? And it's very underwhelming.
This is right around the corner from the Mona Lisa, apparently.
And the Mona Lisa was behind, I kid you not, 10 inches of bulletproof glass. There's no getting anywhere remote. If you took a picture back then with a camera and flash, they pretty much tackled you. So the fact, like, am I Am I right in seeing this? This was in broad daylight, like
middle of the
was it at night?
afternoon. Middle
Of the afternoon, they went
pull
into the
up,
loop and
they
got
pull
out
up,
of there.
They got a stair chair that just beep, 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 beep up to the second floor window. And then they took out like a DeWalt grinder, angle grinder or whatever, and zzz, got open. And nobody could see them on the CCTV because there was one camera on that wall and it was facing the wrong direction. Okay. So then they get in and then they smash the glass. And because they changed the security protocols, the jewels didn't drop down into the safes. They just stayed there because, hey, what's the worst that could happen? And then they grabbed it all while they were wearing reflective vests and ski masks at the same time. They run out, and in an effort to escape on electric scooters, they drop one of the crowns of some fucking princess, but get away with the rest of it.
Well, the ball's on them, man. Middle of the day. My remembrance of the Louvre was security out the wazoo. Like
not on that wall.
I guess not. Right? Like, I mean, wow.
Like,
wow.
It's simultaneously a very European heist and also a very retarded heist.
Well, I so on the reflective vest thing, I actually get it. They wanted to look, if it's middle of the day, they wanted to look like they were workers, so they go up. And
what about the ski masks?
I'm assuming it's cold, so they put on the mask, and if they were
why not hard hats?
That's a very good question. They maybe should have thought.
Why not
I don't know. I don't know all those things.
The angle grinder.
Yes, I don't know the angle of. Do they all wear hard hats like us? I actually don't know. I assume yes, but I have no idea. So I assume they were trying to blend in that way. But then to drop down in the middle of the day.
Well, and then they're leaving with like some Santa Claus satchel full of the crown jewels and just beep, 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 beep.
Can't this thing go any faster? Oh man. Oh, that was worth the wait, Twos. He literally called me start of the week, said, do not look at this. I'm like, okay. Now I'm gonna sit here and stew on this for 4 or 5 days. That is a heist. That is a heist.
Yep.
Okay. Some goofy news. If that wasn't goofy enough. Rising grocery prices, one of the culprits of driving inflation. New data from Statistics Canada.
No. Let's just stop right there. Stop right there.
No,
it isn't. You're fucking wrong. That's like saying dying is a leading cause of cancer. It goes the exact opposite way. Inflation means that your money is worth less, which means it costs more to buy groceries.
Show her a video of her favorite comedian, Twos.
I don't know. Is he technically a comedian? And when's he coming on the show?
Absolutely massive fucking chocolate news today. Eclairs are going to be replaced with flakes in a box of heroes. This is a day to rejoice. Eclairs are fucking horrible. Chewy, toffee shite with a tiny bit of chocolate in the middle. It's like a rat climbed into it and took a tiny shite. I can't even find a good quality picture of Eclairs because nobody wants to take up space on their phone with this fucking embarrassment of a sweet. Flake, on the other hand, an absolute winner, a crowd favourite. Flakes are the sausage roll of the chocolate world. Messy as fuck, you get them all over yourself, but they are delicious and the texture is phenomenal. Now we just need these chocolate companies to stop making the fucking boxes of sweets smaller. Look at that. That's not a box of sweets. You'd starve to death eating that. That's a health hazard, but we will take the good news today. Follow me. I'm delicious.
It's a good question. I got to reach back out to him. He was traveling, so I'll see if I can't track him down. Female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley secrets. Chinese and Russian operatives are using sex warfare to seduce and spy on Silicon Valley professionals, industry insiders have told the Times.
If you are a giant fucking nerd who works for one of these companies and your first girlfriend happens to be an exotic supermodel level woman from a country that is at best antagonistic to yours, you're being had. Like I'm still almost entirely certain that Mrs. Twos is a government plant. Like one of these days, I'm going to be like, oh, hey, honey, how's it going? And she's going to say, you're under arrest. And I'll be like, called it.
Maybe Mrs. Newman is a government or is a spy then too.
Yep. Foreign country.
Samar,
it's at best antagonistic towards us. Yep.
Samar I can't pronounce it. Al-Duhar is
Okay,
a
it doesn't really
Palestinian
matter,
refugee.
but just
It doesn't matter.
listen to this. Just listen to this.
Ask, is this okay? Is this like how holidays look like? This is like just across the street from my sister's. Like, is this fucking okay? What's the fun about it? Like, what is the fun about it? What is civilized about it? What is holiday about it? Fuck you all. Fuck you like white people. Fuck you like Westerners.
It's Halloween. It's Halloween. Instead of being mad at us for putting up decorations for Halloween, be mad at the countries that you came from for doing things that vaguely resemble them.
Average home price must fall in Canada to restore affordability, minister says. This is Federal Housing Minister Gregor Robertson says the average price of housing, not necessarily individual home values, must fall to restore affordability in Canada. To be clear, we need to see average prices of housing.
That's all we need. That's all we need. That's all we need.
All right.
Okay. Mathematically speaking, if it's the average of all the individual pieces and the average is going to drop, the individual pieces value has to drop. Like, that's just, it's simple fucking math.
Correct. Canada spends, here, I'm going to pull this up. There we go.
Read her. Oh,
you want me to read the tweet?
No, the original. Yes. Just read her.
Healthcare is a provincial responsibility. When premiers like Ford gets federal healthcare funds, they use it to enrich their private sector pals at the expense of the people. They pay private nursing 3 times more. They eviscerate the public system on purpose. Blame them.
Now, I would just like to point out that public healthcare is funded with public funds, and private healthcare is funded with private funds. This is a very simple distinction to make, Laura Babcock. And this is a woman who is a babbling idiot. Like, sometimes you'll see her on legacy media panels and stuff like that. The private sector might, and I highly doubt that they pay 3 times more for nurses there, because if you could get the same job at triple the price, there would be nobody in public nursing, and they would literally all be in private nursing. Okay. But aside from that, the difference between public and private is where the money comes from. It's in the name. You buffoon.
Here's Canada Border Service Agency. They put out, we're taking action to protect our economy. CBSA is investigating whether certain imports of disposable paper plates, bowls, and platters from China are being sold at an unfair prices in Canada, dumped, or subsidized.
This is what CBSA is worried about right now. They want to regulate the cost of paper plates in the country and make sure that there is no price gouging happening on solo cups. We are not a serious country.
Inside Canadian curling's push to become more inclusive. Much has changed in the sport over more than 2 centuries, but one thing is not. Walk into a curling club and it's bound to be filled with predominantly white faces.
Yes, so this is an entire article. Like, it'd take us 5 minutes to read it out loud, and it's the exact bullshit gobbledygook that you would expect it to be. Sabina Butt Islam started. Actually, you know what? That's a good starting point. Her name is Butt Islam.
I don't know if you need to read the story. But why do you need to read the story?
We're not going to, because it's all just the usual gobbledygook. But it's about curling this time. But her name is Butt Islam. I don't know what they do with names over there. Like, you've got Islamabad. Islamabad is the name of one of the capital cities in the Middle East. It'd be like if you renamed the Vatican to Pope fucking Sucksistan. And then, well, I mean, it's not even that. They've also got a place called Lahore. I mean, you don't see anywhere in, like, old time Germany calling any of their cities the Slut. Maybe you do. I'm not an expert on, but like it's just, anyways, the names are weird.
Moving on. It doesn't matter. They're pointing to curling being the latest that needs to be changed. Thank you for never supporting us. Is this the world's most aggressive restaurant closure? I don't know if you want me to read part of this.
Well,
It says, to
basically,
the community of Highgate, its neighbors, thank you for never supporting us, not ever even once. To those who we served during lockdowns, when we were the only restaurant open, thank you for never visiting us once the pandemic ended. To the Highgate Society, thank you for never replying to any of our proposals for collaboration. To those who lived a few doors away yet ordered delivery from somewhere else, thank you for your commitment to distance.
This is interesting. I think it's probably the most outspoken closing I've seen of a business in quite some time. And I understand that you're pretty bitter and upset and you probably lost a lot of money. But almost every single restaurant fails. Like the success rate after 5 years of restaurants is something like 10 or 20%. Like odds are, if you're going to open a restaurant, you will lose whatever money you invest into it. And you should probably know that going into it. And it's probably not indicative of the people around the community who didn't support you thoroughly enough.
Happy news. I'm serious. I guess I'll say the headline here. World Aquatics bans transgender swimmer Hannah Caldas after sex test refusal violates policy. So this man didn't go through the well, here, I'll bring up the picture. These are the same people, just so I'm clear on this. Like that's the same person.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that person wants to compete as a woman. That dude is jacked. He's fucking huge.
They don't look like the same person. I was just like, I'm like, that's the same person? That's the same person. All right.
Well, I'm guessing that the boobs are removable. Kind of like the shop teacher. Okay.
You had
this guy. Okay, I get it. You can't compete as a transgender swimmer for the next several years. You can get a job being the Rock's. You could be the Rock stunt double in his next movie.
Caldas will serve a ban that will be in place until 2030. So that's a 5-year ban. Community notes. We got any kicking around today? I'll rattle off mine. I don't know if anything's coming in the comments too. You have a look. Tomorrow here in Lloydminster, Prophet River has its Customer Appreciation Day. Rod Giltaca in person for that. October 26th on Sunday. We got shooting guns at the Lloydminster and District Fish and Game Association indoor range.
Kevin jumps in, a Dongon spokeswoman. Yeah. I guess actually, you know what? If you're transgender, you should look into Dongon as well.
Prophet River's supplying the ammo for that. It was supposed to be Sinclair Prodnik Giltaca. Sinclair has family obligations, so he can't make it. We're sad to not have you, Jamie, but we got Chuck and Rod going to be at the indoor range on Sunday. If you're interested, shoot me a text. Quick Dick McDick is live November 22nd at Lashburn. That's a playground fundraiser for the elementary school. The SMP Christmas party, December 20th, dueling pianos. We still have one table left to sell. So if you're interested in buying a table,
that's
reach
the way
out to
it
me.
Always seems to go, right? Like you'll sell like 98% of the things, and then there'll just be one left.
It's just sitting there. Mash Spiel, January 17th in Kalmar, just west of the International Airport in Edmonton. We are under 13 teams left available, so don't wait too long. That number is going to slowly.
And we've been getting some prizes coming in too.
Yeah,
nice.
Garden Girl gave us a prize.
Nice. Is she coming?
I don't think she can make it, but she gave us some shirts, some gift cards, and
Knocks
so we got
your
that.
Socks off. Hot sauce. Vape vault.
I got a cooler, and forgive me, I should have pulled this up. I got a cooler being donated, so that's going to be interesting. And if you're out there, you're a company, and you want to donate a gift to a prize, for the winners or people in attendance, just shoot me a text or reach out to Twos. We'll get you added to the list of things that are going to be there. And if you're interested in attending, make sure you go to showpass.com /the mash spiel. And it's usually in all the show notes of all the podcasts, but get registered for that. That's January 17th. And then the Cornerstone Forum returns March 28th in Calgary, Alberta, at the Weston Calgary Airport. Tom Luongo, Alex Craner, Matt Arrett, Tom Bodrovics, Vince Lanchi. Twos is going to be playing a part in it. Chad Prather is the latest to be announced.
Nice.
He's going to be coming. So there's going to be more to come of guests being unveiled. And that's March 28th. What else do we got going on? I know there's a big protest.
The night before there's an event there as well. The protest Saturday 4 to 6 at the Edmonton Legislature. I actually will be in Edmonton for an event at 4 o'clock. That is a wedding that's happening at the exact same time.
Rise up, Alberta. Canada's broken. The time is now. Stop Ottawa from stealing your prosperity, your guns, and your freedom. Alberta Legislature, October 25th, 4 to 6 p.m. That is the Alberta Prosperity Project. Rod Giltack is going to be there as well. I believe, don't quote me on this, I want to say Tracy Wilson's going to be there too. I could be wrong on that one, but I know Rod Giltack is going to be in attendance for that as well. So that is happening tomorrow. Anything else, Twos?
Well, I mean, just, thanks again to our sponsor, dongon.com. And you can reach out to 587-217-8500 with a before picture, and they'll hook you up.
Ottawa, Sean Buckley, World's Greatest Health Show presents petition rallies tomorrow across the country. There's another one. I think that's got her, Twos. This has been we've gone longer than we normally do on the show, but having a Alberta Proud dad, Chris Sims, on to talk about a couple of big topics this week. I think it was
not as big as this guy, but yeah.
I think it was important to spend some time on that and get some different opinions. You point to that. I love this meme, and Burns for Carney. I mean, those two in particular, that's fantastic. Folks, that's going to do it for Mashup 181. We'll be back next week. We're here every Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you enjoyed the show, please share it out to your friends and subscribe on all the channels wherever you're watching. Make sure you're getting the notifications that we're live. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Twos! And I guess till next week, and we'll catch you then, folks.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Tell me whether I'm wrong or right. East or west, up or down, side to side. I sit to stand and fall to fly. Of all of my impulsive plans, popping, locking, salsa dances on demand. I follow leading off the map and stop the chatter, scream happily.
Welcome to the Mashup.
Welcome to the Mashup. Welcome to the Mashup.